Hello, dear viewers. Today we will delve into the inspiring story of Moses, one of the most iconic characters in the Bible. Moses' life was marked by a series of extraordinary events that transformed him into a courageous leader and an instrument in the hands of God for the liberation of the people of Israel from slavery. Let's explore the major events in Moses' life and the powerful lessons they teach us. Birth and calling. Our story begins in ancient Egypt, where the Israelites were enslaved by the Egyptians. In a time of great oppression, Moses was born, and his mother, fearing for the baby's life, placed him in a basket and set him adrift on the Nile River. Providentially, the Pharaoh's daughter found the basket and decided to raise him as her own son. Thus, Moses grew up as a prince in the Pharaoh's palace. However, when Moses became an adult, he witnessed an act of injustice and impulsively took action by killing an Egyptian who was mistreating an Israelite. Fearing for his life, Moses fled to the land of Midian, where he lived for many years. It was there that God called him in a spectacular way, through a burning bush that was not consumed. God revealed his plan to Moses, instructing him to return to Egypt and lead the people of Israel to freedom. Plagues of Egypt and the liberation. Moses returned to Egypt with his brother Aaron and confronted the Pharaoh with God's message, "Let my people go." However, the Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he refused to release the Israelites. To persuade him, God sent a series of devastating plagues upon Egypt. The water of the Nile River turned into blood, swarms of frogs invaded the land, lice infested the land, and flies covered everything. With each plague, the Pharaoh promised to set the people free, but always went back on his word. The plagues continued, bringing darkness, livestock pestilence, and painful sores upon the people. However, the Pharaoh remained stubborn. Finally, the 10th plague was announced, the death of all the firstborn in Egypt. But the Israelites were instructed to mark their doors with the blood of a lamb, and death would pass over them. In his desperation, the Pharaoh finally allowed the Israelites to depart. Crossing the Red Sea and the journey in the wilderness, with freedom in sight, the Israelites left Egypt, led by Moses. However, the Pharaoh changed his mind once again and decided to pursue the people of Israel with his army. When the Israelites found themselves trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian army, there seemed to be no way out. However, God performed a remarkable miracle. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the waters parted, creating a dry path in the middle of the sea. The Israelites passed through the sea safely, while the waves stood like walls on their right and left. When the Egyptian army attempted to cross the sea, the waters returned to their course and drowned all of them. This event was a powerful testimony to God's power and Moses' faithfulness in leading the people through moments of great challenge. Reception of the tablets of the law. After their escape from Egypt, the Israelites arrived at Mount Sinai, where Moses went up to the mountaintop to meet with God. It was in this sacred encounter that Moses received the tablets of the law, which contained the 10 Commandments. These commandments were the foundational principles of moral and spiritual life for the people of Israel. They included commandments such as, "You shall not murder," "You shall not steal," and "Honor your father and mother." These laws provided a solid ethical foundation for Israelite society and for all those who seek to live a just and righteous life. Journey through the wilderness and God's provision. After receiving the tablets of the law, the Israelites embarked on a long journey through the wilderness toward the Promised Land. During this journey, they faced numerous challenges, such as a lack of water and food. But God was present and miraculously provided for their needs. He caused water to gush forth from a rock, sent manna from heaven to feed them, and guided them with a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. This divine provision demonstrated God's faithfulness in caring for his people, even in the midst of the desert's adversities. Moses led the people with confidence and faith, constantly reminding them to trust in God and obey his instructions. The rebellion of Korra and leadership challenges. During the journey through the desert, Moses faced challenges in his leadership. One of the most notable episodes was the rebellion led by Korra, Dathan, and Abiram, who questioned the authority of Moses and Aaron. God intervened miraculously, causing the earth to open up and swallow the rebels, affirming Moses' leadership. This event served as a powerful reminder of the importance of submission and respect for the authority established by God. Moses' punishment for disobedience. In another incident, Moses disobeyed God by striking a rock to bring water for the people of Israel instead of speaking to the rock as God had commanded. Because of this disobedience, God pronounced that Moses would not enter the promised land. Although Moses was punished for his disobedience, God allowed him to see the land of Canaan from the top of Mount Nebo before his death. The appointment of Joshua as successor. Knowing that his death was near, God instructed Moses to appoint Joshua as his successor to lead the people of Israel in the conquest of the promised land. Moses passed on his authority and responsibility to Joshua, encouraging him to be strong and courageous, trusting in God just as he had done. The death of Moses. On the last day of his life, Moses climbed Mount Nebo, where God allowed him to see the entire land of Canaan. Moses died there at the age of 120, and God himself buried his body in an unknown place. The people of Israel mourned Moses' death for 30 days. Lessons from the story of Moses. The story of Moses is filled with theological lessons and practical implications for our lives. Here are some of them. 1. Faithfulness and trust in God. Moses displayed unwavering faith in God, even in the face of seemingly impossible challenges. His story teaches us to trust in God in all circumstances and to believe that He has a plan for us, even when things appear bleak. 2. The power of obedience. Moses followed God's instructions, even when they seemed strange or difficult to understand. This obedience resulted in great miracles and the liberation of the Israelite people. Moses' story reminds us of the importance of obeying God, even when it requires courage and sacrifice. 3. Compassionate leadership. Moses was a compassionate leader, concerned for the well-being of the Israelite people. He interceded on their behalf before God and guided them with love and care. This story challenges us to be compassionate leaders in our own spheres of influence, caring for the people around us and seeking their good. 4. God's redemption. The story of Moses is a powerful reminder of God's redeeming power. Just as God liberated the Israelites from slavery in Egypt, He also offers us redemption from sin and spiritual oppression through Jesus Christ. This story inspires us to seek the redemption and transformation that God offers. 5. The importance of perseverance. Moses' journey through the wilderness was filled with challenges and trials, but he persevered, trusting in God every step of the way. This story teaches us the importance of persevering in our faith, even when we face difficulties and adversities. 6. The need to hear God's voice. Moses was known for his intimate communion with God and for hearing His voice. This story challenges us to seek a personal relationship with God and to attentively listen to His guidance and direction in our lives. 7. The importance of moral law. The delivery of the Ten Commandments to Moses highlights the importance of following ethical and moral principles in our daily lives. These commandments are fundamental to a just society and our own moral conduct. 8. God's provision in difficult times. The story of Moses reminds us that God is a faithful provider, even in the most challenging situations. He supplied the needs of the Israelite people in the desert and reminds us that we can trust in His provision in our own lives. Even when faced with scarcity or uncertainty, we can have confidence that God will provide for us according to His perfect wisdom and timing. 9. The journey of faith. The life of Moses was a journey of faith, from the moment he was called by God to lead the people until the end of his journey in the desert. He faced challenges, trials, and moments of uncertainty, but he maintained his trust in God. This story encourages us to trust in God in our own journey of faith, knowing that He is with us at all times. 10. The grace and redemption of God. Although Moses made mistakes and was punished for his disobedience, God continued to show His grace and redemption. He allowed Moses to see the promised land before his death and chose a successor to continue leading the people of Israel. This story teaches us that even when we fail, God is gracious and gives us opportunities to start anew. These lessons from Moses' life invite us to seek a life of obedience to God, to lead with humility and dependence on Him, to intercede for others, to walk in faith, and to trust in the grace and redemption of God. May the story of Moses inspire and challenge all who hear it to live a life committed to God and in service to others.